Over the last year or so, I've been engaged in Annasophia Robb's fandom, and I want to make a video showcasing everything that I have seen, because the reason why I want to make this video is because this fandom is different from other fandoms, because it's very nice and it's refreshing to just be in a fandom that's just not that toxic as well. Like, it's just really nice to be, talking to someone or engaging in a community that most people agree with, and there isn't really a divide. So it's just a really nice corner of the internet. Now, to clarify, I'm not talking about the movie fandoms themselves, but rather herself. But there's a lot of overlap, so it doesn't really matter, really. Second, I don't want to be disrespectful or hateful to anyone, because I've not been in this community for that long, so I don't want to unintentionally make someone mad or make some part of the fandom mad. I don't want to unintentionally do that. Finally, I'm just going to point out stuff that I've noticed, and only stuff I've noticed. I'm not on every single social media platform. I'm not. I'm only on a few, so I don't know every little thing that goes on every little social media platform. I'm only talking about the social media platforms that I have been on and use. But speaking of places people talk about her, that's on Instagram, where she mainly posts on there, which obviously she posts on there. There's also Reddit and TikTok. From what I've seen on those platforms, no one actually talks about her movies or projects in detail, but rather they just talk about how beautiful she is as an adult. And I understand that. She's an angel sent from the sky. I understand that. The only exception is British Terabithia, only because they have a Reddit and Discord. People do actually talk about the story and characters, about various different things on there. But speaking about Reddit, there is another subreddit on there, besides her own subreddit, where it's about one of her body parts, and I don't really want to talk about it in detail because it's I just don't really want to talk about it, but I kind of need to acknowledge it because a part of the fandom does like that, so I kind of need to mention it. Finally, the last platform that I mainly use to look at her fandom is TikTok. And the vast majority of videos I see of her on TikTok are those compilation videos. I don't really know what to call them, like edits. They're very common that you see with a lot of other actors, YouTubers, movies. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I've probably seen it on the screen right now. You've probably seen it before, but there are a couple of videos of these compilations are actually really good. I actually really like seeing, and they're really good. It's like compilations of her movies and like herself throughout the years. It's actually really cool to see. Another thing is that on TikTok, and I don't know if this is for every single platform or social media platform necessarily, but in the comment section, a lot of her comments are not in English, they're in different languages, and that's really cool to see. And I Google translated a couple of them, or like a lot of them, and most of them are in Russian. So I guess the Russians really like Annasophia Robb. Next up, for anyone that may be new or may not be into this community all that much, you may be asking what are her most popular movies, and I think I have the answer to that. And I want to talk about what I call the Big Seven. I know, that sounds very intimidating, but I call it the Big Seven. And those 7 movies are British Terabithia, Have Dreams Will Travel, Sleepwalking, Spy School, The Reaping, Because of Winn-Dixie, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I believe these 7 movies are critical to her fandom. These movies are what I see most people talk about, either referencing on TikTok or on Reddit. It makes sense why, because her acting ranges from really good to award-winning. Not only that, but most of them are really good in quality and aged really well. Well, except for Spy School. That movie kind of sucks. No offense to the people that actually like that movie, because the people that do, mostly because of nostalgia, but that movie sucks. Now, people do talk about her other movies, but only up to the Carrie Diaries that came out in 2013. So after that, it's really rare to see anyone talk about her work after that point, which does suck, but it does make me speculate that most of her fandom doesn't really engage with her stuff when she became an adult actress. To follow up on that, I want to ask a question. Why do you like watching Annasophia Robb's early work? Is it because of nostalgia? Because you genuinely like the movie that she's in? Or is it a mixture of both? Because I get it if that's the case. When watching British Terabithia, I forgot how simpler times were back in the early 2000s. There's a charm in watching her movies from back then, and even her interview/promo stuff are nostalgic. Not to say that charm isn't there today, it's just rare because everything is corporate now. But it's cool to see a child actor like Annasophia Robb, who is very mature and well-spoken for her age. She has to talk about the movie she's in and what she's fascinated in without any gimmicks. Just a sit down and get to know the person behind the character type of interview. And she still does that type of stuff to this day, which is really cool to see. But at the same time, it isn't the same hearing her talk now. Not to say that, hearing her talk, isn't cool to see, because she's still very well spoken. But to me and everyone else, she was more interesting to watch when she was a child, because she was an actual child holding a conversation with an adult. But even then, to me, it's still fun to go back to that time period, so I understand why almost everyone only references her early work. But if you do want to watch her movies as an adult, like more recent stuff, I do have suggestions to say, and these movies and projects I'm talking about are all where she is the main character in. First up, we have Down the Dark Hall, and I really like this movie, but this movie is technically a horror movie, but I'm putting it in quotation marks. It's not really a horror movie, but it's more a mystery thriller type of thing. The reason why I mention this first is because this is her last starring role in a theatrical movie, which does suck. I wish she got more starring roles in theatrical stuff, because she's really good in this. I do consider this one of her greatest performances ever of all time. So, that's what I'm mentioning first. It's just, she gives a really great performance, and the movie itself is really good. Next up is Jack at a Red Heart. This movie is also a great movie that she stars in. She's basically like this criminal, or I guess hoodlum, who cons her way into taking care of an autistic child. It's a very crazy premise, but it does work, and like I said, she does give a really good performance, and I don't really want to spoil this movie, because just, and I don't want to say something that's going to spoil it, so if you want to check it out. Next up is Holiday House, and this is a short you can actually check out right now on my channel, of course after this one, of course. But Holiday House explores the parasocial relationship between a content creator and their fan. And this is a really good short, because this isn't like old people not knowing how social media works. No, Annasophia Robb, was executive producer on this. She the people who made this short know how social media works. They reference stuff that I know and other social media people would also know. So it is a good watch. And it's only 11 minutes long, so it's not that long. After that is Rebel Ridge, and I really like Rebel Ridge, mainly because this movie is not for everyone. Because what this movie reminds me of is Star Wars Andor. If you're someone that's into Andor, or that show, the slow burn, where it's just people talking, very little action, that sort of thing. If you just like that, then Rebel Ridge is just like Andor, except in real life. And she gives a really great performance, and she even got nominated for her performance in this. I don't think she won, but getting nominated. This movie came out last year, and she got nominated, which is crazy that she's still getting nominations, decades later after, it's crazy, it's cool. So, if you're into that type of stuff, then check it out. This last one's a fun one. It's the Ed Sheeran's music video, the Shivers music video. If you watched it back then, you're like, that she's in it, and, I would recommend you check it out again, because she's the best part in it. She very clearly is, an actress, and she's better in acting than Ed Sheeran is, so that's cool. I guess the novelty of someone not performing Ed Sheeran, but, it's still a fun watch. One last thing before I end the video. Josh Hutcherson. How dare you break with Annasophia Robb in 2007? How dare you? What, you think I was going to talk about this? This is one of the most important parts of her fandom. She's a perfect woman, Josh, and you dumped her. You made her really upset. Look at her. She's fuming, barely holding in her anger. She can't even stand to be next to you. Why'd you do it, Mr. Hutcherson? This is the worst thing any person could have done. If anyone's on Team Josh, then you're dead to me. Because only Team Annasophia is the right answer. Josh, I hope Freddy Fazbear comes to your house and eats you for what you did as a child, who could have done whatever he wanted and faced no consequences. So it kind of makes sense why you broke up with her, but still. Not cool, man. Not cool. With that being said, I hope you learn new stuff about Annasophia Robb's fandom, and for some of you to go check out her more recent work, because some of those movies, like I said, are really good to watch. I recommend you check them out. But with that out of the way, I'm gonna end it here. If you guys enjoy, hit like button and subscribe to this channel or my main channel, Hey Bob, or my Star Wars channel. You can go check out my catalog of channels. Go subscribe to all of them. Cause I'm gonna go now. So goodbye, everyone.